Alright, well, I'll keep this brief. I think we're really done with Hythloday. Alright, so, he's resorting now to Monty Python, the argument from Monty Python. Like, wouldn't we all want to do that? Yeah, they're on your side, I'm sure. So just think of Monty Python's argument sketch when you watch this. And think of Catch-22. So anyway.
What the fuck are you doing there? Huh? What's it got to do with you? See, question. It has the presumption that that I have to justify something.
Yeah, that's the nature of ethics. That's right. Ethics is justifications. I'm sorry, but that's what it is. Yeah, it is. Fundamentally and absolutely. That's entirely what it is. Justifications. Reasons.
Similarly, with the question is, yes or no, have you stopped beating your wife, presumes that you have been a wife beater.
So again, that's, and your response to that question wouldn't be, it's still a question, right? So you answer it. You don't just say, that's not a question. You say, I haven't beaten my wife ever. So what are you talking about? You're crazy. So I'm asking you, why is same not treated same? You're treating things you're saying, and okay, I'll get to this part because it's sort of important. Somebody left in the comments, it's kind of useless comments. I've only been watching the videos on this channel, and I wasn't in the conversation, but it was pretty clear to me that they disagreed, I don't know who they are, with those premises. The premises are in the first two statements in the thought experiment are the premises, right? That the suffering is bad and that the two entities are equal, fundamentally, generally speaking. Those are both statements that were agreed to by both parties. So I'm just saying, go back to two of Hythloday's videos, and well, do you remember the part where he went, where he's paraphrasing me incorrectly, and he says, yeah, cupcake is, yeah, good. Cupcakes for everyone. He said those words, right? Cupcakes for everyone. You remember that? That's where he's arguing that, yeah. I agree that cupcakes are, nail in the eye is bad for all the people. So I'm not going to argue it. I'm just saying he did agree to those premises. So I'm just saying, if we can't get that far, there's no conversation to have. Like I said, once again, there's no way I'm going to have this idiotic conversation about whether my consciousness is special, that I am somehow a special consciousness, or the argument that my consciousness is deceiving me and suffering isn't really suffering. So what's the point? But anyway, just to be clear though, it did happen, and he kept asserting that yeah, I'm accepting the premise, when he's not accepting it because he keeps saying that I don't have to accept it. It's not an ought.
It's entered as evidence beforehand. Similarly, when you say, you account for why you will make Martians. Why must we have Martians? Presumes that.
Well, why don't you use the real question in the real circumstance? So again, I haven't asked you that question. Have I? No, I haven't.
If I go make Martians, then I have to account for myself.
Okay, that I have to account for myself. So again, he wants to say, ought. There's not an is-ought gap here. Okay, that's the big confusion, right? He's claiming there's an is-ought gap. No, there's an ought-ought gap. He doesn't think I ought to do what I ought to do. So once we establish what he ought to do, he doesn't think he ought to do it. So ought doesn't have any meaning. Okay, there's not an is-ought gap for this guy. There's a ought-smot gap. He just doesn't give a fuck of what ought-smot.
Similarly, if you say, cube 1, cube 2, they're exactly the same.
Again, so this is how he honestly, this is Justin, this is how he honestly paraphrases, right? Clearly in the state, you even said the word intrinsically, and I corrected you and I said, well, maybe intrinsic is the wrong word, or something like that. You remember this took place, right? They're not identical, but we're saying for the purpose of this conversation, in all the important respects, they're the same. That was the agreed upon language. So lie some more. No identicalness.
They're exactly the same, but I like this one. I just because I'm human, because I have the capability to choose, and I can say, what's it got to do with you?
Okay, so what's it got to do with you? That's ethics. Now you understand that I'm going to just title this Too Silly, right? What's it got to do with you? Well, obviously everything we do has something to do with somebody else. Every resource we consume, every exchange we make, somebody's going to be affected by those exchanges. What's it got to do with you? This guy wants to have a serious conversation about ethics with the premise, don't ask me what I'm doing because it's none of your business. I mean, sorry. What's it got to do with you? Well, it's got to do with me because I'm the one that's going to be a victim of what you're doing. You're getting a cupcake, and to get your cupcake, you're going to stick a nail in my eye. That's what it's got to do with me, motherfucker. Oh, fuck.
Chosen because I am an agent choosing machine.
And you don't have to obey oughts. So when you establish that suffering ought to be prevented, and then you establish that two things are same, and then you only prevent suffering in one of them, you've broken the ought, and you've broken the word same. And you don't have to account for it. And that's ethics. So ethics are, I will do whatever the fuck I want. Now let's talk about ethics. Sorry. Too fucking silly.
Me justifying I never had obligations to choose in the first place.
I didn't have obligations to choose in the first place. This is just basically saying the serial killer can just say, I didn't give birth to me. I didn't make me a crazy person. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. So I don't have to take any account for what I do. Yes, I could have not done it. I thought about not doing it, but I decided to do it instead. Yeah, and fuck you. And you don't have any right to judge. I just think that's idiotic. I don't have a right to say that's just not good enough, fucker.
Having that said that I've done, who is to say that I'm obligated to account why to you?
Because there was an ought statement. You claimed that there was an is-ought gap. We explained why there's not an is-ought gap, and now you're just saying, what does ought mean? Well, I'm just, what's the point? I mean, is this catch-22 or what? He's just going to say there's an ought gap, and then there's an ought gap or something. He's just going to keep finding gaps that'll allow him to do whatever the fuck he wants, and everybody else has to do what he says. I will tell you what's ethical. It's ethical for me to do whatever the fuck I want, and it's unethical for you to do anything I don't let you do. Anytime I tell you you're wrong, and anytime I tell you it's okay, it's alright. But that's it. It goes through me, because if I don't feel it, fuck it. Didn't happen. I will declare who is a victim. I will tell you. I will project myself on them and say, yes, I acknowledge you. You are therefore a victim. So when I acknowledge you, you can be a victim. I will, like the Pope, I will bless you, and then you get into heaven. And now you become a reality. But you are not a reality till Justin justifies you. Yes, this is too silly. Fuck you, I'm going home.